Welcome to Montreal. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you.
How has your stay been?
It's been great.
What have you been doing?
I've been mostly here.
Ooh, me too.
I've been meeting fans and hanging out.
Very nice. What's your favorite thing so far about Montreal?
You know, honestly, the city is so beautiful, and I keep telling that to people, and then people keep telling me that there's a lot of construction. Honestly, every single person's told me that.
Yeah, well, it's pylon season.
I haven't seen the construction, I haven't witnessed it, but I believe you. All of you.
So tell me about working with you, Lori. Tell me about all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, it feels like a long time ago now, but Hugh Laurie's incredible, and you can't not learn from him when you work with him. There's a lot of negatives, sorry, but he's just someone that is so extraordinary and such a professional and just so good at everything, really, that it makes you better to work with someone like that.
Awesome. And once upon a time, going into it, shooting the pilot, did you think, oh my God, we've definitely got 7 seasons and a phenomenon?
I think with Once Upon a Time, I felt like either no one was going to watch it or a lot of people were going to watch it. It wasn't going to be some kind of in-between. I loved the concept. It was such a page turner. I loved the pilot. I loved Emma right away. She was named Anna at the time. You know, I knew I wanted to watch it, so I hope that meant other people would too.
And I think they did. I think they watched. Oh, we're already starting to build up. Let's get right to it. We're going to start over here. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good you. I just have a question. You've been on 2 massive shows. If you could be on one show for like one episode on TV today, what would it be?
I have a lot of shows that I like right now. I really like Handmaid's Tale. I really like Outlander, which I think Colin's gonna be on. Can I hear that? Right? I was so jealous. I was like, wait, he gets to be on Outlander and I don't? What the heck? I'm gonna get my agents on that one. What else do I like? Westworld. I'm in the 2nd season of Westworld. Those are the ones that are like coming to the surface right now, but I feel like I've been watching tons of stuff. But those are the ones that kind of jump out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. My question is about the musical episode.
How about it?
How was it to like process from all of it, the songs, and how was it to film it at the wedding?
Yeah, that was such a fun episode. It was really, I think all of us felt like we enjoyed how different it was to work on that episode. It also felt like a show that really lent itself to having a musical episode because of all of the Disney characters, the fairy tale characters, and it just felt natural for it to have a musical episode. So I guess they hired musical writers, you know, people who write music as opposed to just write words. And they wrote songs for it, and they worked together with Eddie and Adam to figure out the lyrics and the music. And I loved that they decided to use Emma's theme that Mark Isham had come up with, that had kind of gone through the whole show as part of her journey and her story and her song. And so they worked together to do that. Then they had all of us learn all of those songs separately, and we all worked with a coach, and we all, you know, did all of that work, and then we recorded all of those songs in a recording studio, and we worked with the musicians who wrote the music, so they helped coach us as to how they felt like the songs should sound and feel, and the energy and the pace of everything. So then once we recorded all that, and that was approved by Eddie and Adam, then that playback was on set, but we would sing along to the playback on set in order to make sure that everything was, well, at least I did. I don't actually know what everybody else did. I don't know what people did in scenes that I wasn't in, but in order for it to make sure that it matched up exactly right, we also sang along with it on set.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I wrote my question down in case I forgot it. So Emma's clothing style changes a lot over the seasons, from form-fitting tank tops to more flowy, detailed blouses, or what you're wearing now, per se. I was wondering how much input you had on the costumes and how you felt about them and what they conveyed about Emma.
Yeah, I had a lot of input, so anything you guys don't like, just blame me. Seriously. Don't blame Eduardo. He's amazing, and the stuff that they created, especially I think with the fairy tale costumes, was just incredible, and it was at the level of like what couture would be in terms of all of the things being hand beaded and sewn and the lace, and I mean it was just absolutely exquisite. And I was in a different situation because most of my clothes were normal clothes; they weren't fairy tale clothes. And the first season, I felt really strongly that that Emma had like maybe 4 boxes of things total, not even clothes, just 4 boxes total. So I tried to keep all of her belongings and her clothes to a real minimum, so that it really felt like she was mixing and matching from a very small amount of things that she owned. And also, she would never have, had a lot of money. She would never have been someone who would have a chance to go shopping and pick something out that she really wanted. Everything was very functional and practical. Even when she was in the date dress for the pilot, that was a practical thing that she had to catch the perpetrator that was, running from their veil. So, so the first season was very much about it being as affordable, as reasonable, and as minimal as possible. And then as she started to open up and started to get closer to her family and started to open her heart to love again and started to get close to Henry, and I felt like she needed to have a journey where she started to explore what it meant to have her own sense of style and her own relationship with clothes. And I know this sounds super complicated, it's a very long answer about clothes, but I did think about it all. And so a lot of the things that you'd see, I was like, okay, well at this point she only has access to things in Storybrooke. So like what would be in the vintage stores in Storybrooke, or what would be in her mom's closet, or what would she have access to? And then by the time she goes to New York, then it was like she had access to all sorts of different things, and she didn't have her memories that she had, so her clothes needed to feel like the memories of a different person. So all those choices were always about where was she at in that given moment, what was she exploring, what was new, what was different, what made her comfortable, what made her feel safe, what made her feel vulnerable. The pink date dress with the first date with Hook. The idea being that would have been something she would have found in the vintage shop, in Storybrooke. So all of those things always had, I can't go outfit by outfit, but every outfit had that thought process behind it, for sure.
That's awesome, thank you.
Hi.
So Once Upon a Time has always been one of my favorite shows, and I want to thank you for portraying Emma, because I've always related more to her since my name is also Emma. And I know you've dabbled in directing as well, so I wanted to know what the feeling on set is different when you're an actor as when you're a director.
Yeah, it's some things are totally the same. I feel very lucky as a director because I did grow up on sets, and I've been on sets for so long that it makes me very comfortable. One of the things I had never really thought about as an actor was that a lot of the directors I was working with were first-time directors, which meant they'd really never spent time on set before. And I've spent most of my life on set, and so there's something about just having an ease and a comfort with the way a set operates and just how the day goes. Like it's its own culture and it's its own thing. So I was very lucky, both as an actor and a director, that I feel very at ease in that environment. But in terms of directing, every decision is yours. Every single minuscule decision. If you're shooting the scene, they'd be like, do you want both these waters on the table? Do you want the coffee? Should we jump that out? Is the table in a spot that you want? Can you go look at the monitor and make sure, do you want it 2 inches this way or 1 inch that way? How do you feel about his blue shirt? I don't know, should it be buttoned up? Should it not be buttoned up? I don't know, is there enough product in his hair? Do you want a little more product? He might be a little shiny. Maybe we should take that down. It's literally, you have to think, you make sorry to pick on you for a second.
It's so accurate.
But you're making 1,000 decisions a minute in a way that you don't realize until you're in that situation. So you have to be incredibly confidently decisive and really have a vision so that you know exactly what you want, so that you don't stumble on those decisions.
Thank you.
Just to start off, my brother and I, we live in Steveston, which was the filming location for the main street of Storybrooke. So
I'm sorry about the amount of interrupting we've probably done in your life.
No, so we're on the main road every day, and since I was little, since it's been the 7 years, we go on the weekends and watch the filming. And when you and Henry had a scene with your yellow car on the main road, the first time it's midday there, we were actually standing watching and no one else was watching with us really because no one knew what was going on, but we're like, we think this is going to be good. So we just wanted to tell you that.
That's
so.
really cool. Well, I'm glad that we had that experience together.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, so that's like my little story. My question is, what were your impressions of Steveston, like upon first coming there? Like, what were your thoughts?
Oh, it's such a beautiful town. It couldn't be a more perfect location for what we were doing. I was amazed that it was real because most people, if they don't know about Steveston, they think that we built a set or that it was a backlot or something because it has such a fairy tale feel to it almost. It's all these beautiful little buildings and everybody's so kind and it's really beautiful to be right by the water right there and the park is right there. So it's so picturesque and it's such a wonderful little spot that I feel like we were very lucky to have found that because it was a perfect location for what we were doing.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Hello. Welcome, bienvenue to Montreal. My question is, with your two roles in House and Once Upon a Time, which roles did you find more mentally and physically challenging and why?
I mean, they were both mentally and physically challenging. I think, you know, with House, it was a really challenging thing to try to really understand all of the medicine and really know what we were talking about. I felt really strongly that I wanted to always understand whatever diseases we were dealing with so that otherwise it feels like you're speaking another language that you don't know. You know, you need to feel like you really know what you're fighting for and what you're talking about. So there was a tremendous amount of research for me on that never let up. Certain diseases would sort of resurface, but some things were brand new every week. And it's definitely an intense exercise to be memorizing all those crazy medical words. It's not like just memorizing a normal conversation. It definitely made memorizing normal conversations a lot easier. So, you know, there was definitely a challenge there, and it was a really wonderful group of actors where I think we all pushed each other and challenged each other, whether we meant to or not. You know, I think that we all wanted to show up and be as present as possible, and I think we all felt like we grew and evolved all together while we were doing that job. And then, you know, with Once Upon a Time, there were different challenges. You know, it was very physically demanding on me. I did a tremendous amount of stunt work, and you know, what people don't realize is it's not like you do it once or twice. You do it over and over and over and over and over again for how many hours. And, you know, obviously if something's dangerous, they have a stunt double, but there is a tremendous amount of physical overlap. So that was a more physically grueling show for me, and from that standpoint. And then also trying to find ways to make magic seem real. You know, we were doing things that are technically ridiculous. And I had to make it so that you guys believed that these ridiculous things could be real. So that's like its own kind of mental gymnastics, you know. So that was a different kind of mental challenge for me that was a fun challenge to take on.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. Throughout all your seasons of filming Once Upon a Time, I was wondering what your favorite prop that you used was. Because, like, throughout the seasons, you used, like, the car, like, the dagger and all that stuff, and I was just wondering what your favorite was.
Well, that car and I have a real relationship. Seriously. There were even, like, we'd have, like, transpo guys that were on the show for a day or two, because, like, the regular transpo guys were out, or picture card people in charge of the picture cars. And I'd be like, yeah, don't worry about it, I got it. Like, they would be like trying to figure out the car and be like, it's all right, it's a situation. I did have like a begrudging love for that car, even though it was you really had to manhandle it. Like it was, I don't know how to explain it, I'm not going to do it right now because it would be very unattractive, but you really have to be super aggressive with that car to make it do what you want it to do. And it only sometimes does what you want it to do. It was very fun to have an Emma Swan Dark One dagger, you know. I think that became such a sort of cool staple thing of the show that was Rumpelstiltskin's thing for so long, and then kind of we started passing the torch as everyone started exploring their dark sides. So yeah, I guess those are the two that would jump out. You had really good ideas. Do you have any other good ideas about props I should love?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. I think poor Henry or Jared would be frustrated with the book, because that kid had to lug that storybook around so much, and it was like in and out of the backpack, and like, it's one of those things that you don't think about because it just seems to magically happen when you're watching it on the screen, but it was cumbersome to manage, so poor Jared got very good at managing that book.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. I love Sundog really, and I was wondering if you're working on something else.
I am. The thing with directing is that it takes a long time. It's unfortunately you guys don't get like the immediate gratification that you get with television, where it sort of turns around really quickly. I'm developing a project that I'm going to direct for Sony, so that's something that we're officially in development on, and that's going to take some time. It's not going to be tomorrow. And the hope is, if it all goes to plan, that I'd be in production like next summer. So it's a long development process when you're working with a big studio like that, but I'm very excited to be working with them, and I really believe in the project. And then I'm also attached to direct an indie film that is very, very early. I just went through the process of being approved by all the producers and with the living writer, because one of the writers has actually passed away. And, so we're going to start kind of going down that path, and that's going to depend on, when that comes together is going to depend on when the Sony project comes together. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but it's all stuff that requires my attention daily. So I'm dealing with that, and then I also have 2 television projects in development both of which I'd be in as well as produce. So, but those will be further down. Those are like down the pipeline, but they're things that I really, really, really feel passionately about the content and the story, and feel like they're stories that are important to be told. And we'll see how they come together and who decides to buy them.
Well, we'll be waiting for it. Thanks.
Hi again, I'm Michael again. My question is, what is your favorite Disney film?
I don't know if I could ever pick one favorite. And it's like my favorites change daily. I do know all the words to Little Mermaid, or at least once at some point. That was definitely, in my childhood, and I'm dating myself a little bit, when that came out, there were tons and tons of animated movies in the world. This was like the most miraculous thing that ever happened. The Little Mermaid came along. So I was definitely obsessed with that. And then I loved Beauty and the Beast, and then I'd go back and watch the old Cinderella, and then I loved the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella. My sister and I used to play the Prince, and she would play Cinderella, and we'd sing the duets from the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella together in the car. Probably drove my parents crazy. But yeah, Disney movies were a huge part of my childhood. My parents loved Disney, and they loved those movies, and that was a huge part of when I was a kid, was watching all those movies.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello. So my question is, among all the genres of movie and television, which is your favorite to direct and act with?
That's tricky too. You guys always want me to pick one thing or the other, and I like to do it all. I like to kind of bounce from one thing to the different thing, So it's like, I came off of doing House for 6 years, and I went and did a season of How I Met Your Mother because I really wanted to do a comedy. House was super serious. It was super, super serious, and I really enjoyed it, but it was really nice to then mix it up and go to work every day and make people laugh and joke around with everybody on set and have that lightness to the energy that I was in. And I feel like Once Upon a Time was a little bit of a mixture. There were things that were really serious about it, and there were things that were kind of campy and fun about it. It had a little bit of both. So I like to keep changing it up. I think I start to feel really suffocated if I stay in one place too long. So for me, it would be impossible to say that one or the other. And even Sundogs has a little bit of both. It's a serious story. And it's technically a drama, but there's some really funny moments because sometimes serious stuff is accidentally funny, So I'm gonna have to go with a little bit of both.
Thank you.
Bonjour, mon nom c'est Marie Morrison. Je vous avais donné un cahier hier. C'est beau, je peux vous dire que je vous aime beaucoup. Puis ma question, ça serait, est-ce que vous pensez un jour tourner à Montréal?
She said that she met you yesterday. She gave you something, or cahier,
Okay,
a little book. But she wanted to know if you were if you're thinking of filming in Montreal at any point.
I don't know. I mean, if there was a movie or a television show that hired me and wanted me here, I would love to be here. If there was a project that I wanted to direct that required shooting here, or if they wanted to give me a great tax break and make my life a lot easier, then I'd want to be here.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle a dit?
Elle a dit, oui, elle veut filmer ici si on lui donne beaucoup d'argent.
Mais je pense que ça va se faire.
Oui, ça va se faire, c'est sûr, ça va se faire. Non, c'est pas ça qu'elle a dit. Elle dit, oui, elle aimerait beaucoup filmer ici à Montréal si jamais elle a l'occasion. Puis si on me donne beaucoup d'argent.
He's trying to get me in trouble over here.
Hi.
Hi, this is a Star Trek question. As you may know, Chris Hemsworth will be returning as George Kirk in the next Star Trek movie, I believe. So, since they're finding a way to bring him back, do you think they'll find a way to bring your character back, and would you be up for it?
I mean, I would love that. I don't have any idea what they're doing. I have not heard from anyone. So I don't know where they're at in the process. I don't even know if they have a script. I have no idea where they're at with all of it. But I loved being a part of that franchise. I loved playing Winona Kirk. I feel super honored to have played Winona Kirk, and any way I could possibly be involved, I would of course love to be. So, you know, you never know. I'm a fan of the franchise just as much as I, you know, am a tiny part of it. So as a fan, I'm just excited to see, you know, what they come up with and what that story is, and if they let me be a part of it, that'd be awesome. But if not, I'm still excited to see it.
Great, thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello. You stole my question. I wanted to ask that. Anyway, I have plan B. Describe a weekend in the Captain Swan house with Killian, Emma, and baby Hope. A normal weekend. No drama, no villains, no nothing.
No drama, no villains. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I need some fan fiction writers out there to help me out. You guys come up with stuff that is like, I don't know, where do you guys come up with it? Dark basements? I think ultimately, at least in my mind, and I don't know, I feel like Colin might say the same if he were here. We just want it to be calm, you know, uninterrupted calm. So, you know, we talked a lot about that we would probably watch a lot of Netflix, that we would probably, you know, cook some mediocre meals. I don't think either of us are excellent cooks, but we would try. Might order some pizza. Definitely, you know, invite mom and dad over to hang with the baby and teach us what to do. You know, have them babysit so that Hook can have, you know, a little bit of rum here and there. I don't know.
That's a good one.
Is that all right?
Sailing on the Jolly Roger.
Singing on the Jolly Roger?
Sailing.
Oh. That's really specific. We can sing and sail at the same time. Sure, maybe that's when mom and dad babysit. Well, you could go sailing. It sounds nice.
We can have some pancakes.
Right. You guys.
See, something happened here.
You're just always trying to make food dirty.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's way louder than you think, eh?
If you were to pull out your own heart, like
I think I did that, didn't I? Did I? Someone pulled their own heart out.
But if you yourself, as...
Oh, me, Jennifer Morrison?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay, I
If you
think
were
that's different.
to pull out your heart and look at it, which color would it be? Would it be a little bit of black? Would it have more red to it? Would it be...
You guys are so deep in Montreal.
You could say that it's just like jerky.
No, I think I have a very tender heart. I think that, you know, I've learned to have thicker skin, especially being in this business and living in this world. We all have to kind of figure out how to have thick skin. But deep down, I'm a very, very, very sensitive person. I just kind of learned how to manage it. So I think it would be mostly pretty pink. And then, you know, it might have a couple little, I don't know, gray sad spots. But like, that's just life. I think we all have some little gray sad spots.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. Hello, Ms. Morrison. House is one of my all-time favorite shows. But one thing that's always bothered me was that after the first 3 seasons, they chose to tweak up the cast, which essentially put your character, Dr. Cameron, in the background. So I'm just curious what the producers told you at that point and how you reacted.
Yeah, I didn't have anything, I don't know, I didn't know a lot with what was going on there. I really didn't know a lot. I just, you know, every show has its own sort of weird politics and culture to it, some of which I understood and some of which I didn't, some of which I'll never understand. I think that, at least from David Shore's perspective, who's someone I'm still very close to and have so much love and respect for, I think that, you know, they felt like in order for the show to really have legs to keep going for a long period of time and maybe go on and on and on, they needed to bring in opportunities to expand the storylines and explore some different things. And I think that it felt like, how many times can Cameron and Chase and Foreman kind of roll their eyes at House and be like, oh my God, you're ridiculous. You know, it's like at some point they have to wisen up and sort of grow beyond that. So I think that from a creative standpoint, the decision was made to try to expand the storylines, you know, and to figure out how to keep a life in the storytelling and be able to continue on. So that's really all I knew, you know, in terms of a creative perspective. But if you really wanted an answer to that, you should ask the producers.
Definitely will.
I'd love to know.
All right, thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Fans often do crazy stuff for the actors that they love.
No way.
No. So,
Where'd you hear that?
yesterday, so somebody came up to you and showed you a body painting. Could you just tell us how you reacted to
Oh,
body
wow. This was incredible. I can't even believe this was like on someone's body. I don't know anything about body painting, but yeah, there was, I think it was a mother and a daughter, I don't know, aunt and niece?
She's here.
Well, anyway, but this girl had like a painting of Emma Swan on her back, but it looked like something on a canvas. Like it was really, really incredible. I've never seen anything like it. And I think my actual reaction is I went something like this. So, but it was, yeah, I mean, I'm always blown away. I've told this to you guys before, I've said this before at conventions, but like, you know, it's always amazing to see how creative all the fans are and how artistic everyone is, and it feels very, I feel very honored to be a part of something that inspires that creativity in other people. You know, I don't write the show, I didn't create the show, I just bring the character to life, but it's really fun to see the way that is a domino effect, and that really brings out so much artistry in all of the fans as well. It's really incredible.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to Montreal, first of all. And I wanted to know, as somebody who wants to go into the acting industry and movie and whatever, do you have any tips to how to act or even how to get connections and stuff like that?
It's so tricky. I mean, people that I know who've been trying for a long time, it's still hard, you know, and it never gets easier. It's not like I walk around being offered everything I want, you know. I'm still auditioning for the things that I feel passionate about, and it's a tricky business, and there's no one way to get into it. And I feel like the world's changing so much that I don't even know if I have the right advice for anyone anymore. I mean, you know, you see like people making their own stuff on YouTube, and then it turns into something else. And you know, I don't really have good advice about any direct path to do it. All I can say is, you know, take acting classes, take voice lessons, take dance lessons. It doesn't matter if you can sing or if you can dance. It's just good to be connected to your body in that way and to have an understanding of how to use your body so that when you're creating a character, you have access to that. And make things, you know, that's part of the beauty of the digital world now is like, you know, make a movie on your iPhone, make your own YouTube channel, create your own content, find your voice as a writer, even if you don't think of yourself as a writer. And I just think the only way people are going to start noticing is if you're putting something in the world that other people are responding to. And even if that's just a couple people initially, that might grow and it'll help you learn and grow as well. But unfortunately, there's no obvious path. Everybody has their own kind of bizarre journey to it.
Thank you.
All right, we're running out of time, so we're going to try to go as fast as we can through the rest of these questions.
That's his way of telling me to talk less.
Hi.
Hi,
Oh,
my
you're
name
adorable.
is Nyla. What is your favorite part of your job?
Meeting people like you. There's a lot of favorite parts of my job. I feel very, very lucky. You know, I say this every time I come to a convention, and it's partly why I love being here, is I get to interact with the people that make it possible for me to do what I love every day. And, you know, I don't get to do what I love every day without the fans, so I'm super, super grateful. But I love making things, you know. I love creating a character. I love creating a character just as much as I love putting a film together that I'm going to direct. There's something just about diving in and trying to understand someone else's perspective or many people's others' perspectives when I'm directing. And trying to create something that has a life of its own in order for people to be able to relate to it and also for me to be able to hopefully understand the people around me and the world around me a little bit better. I think that, you know, my hope every time I create something new is that I'll have a deeper understanding or empathy for the people around me, you know, because it forces me to consider their perspectives and it forces me to consider how someone else might justify their behavior, and it feels like I get to add to my life in some way every time I create something new.
Hi. Hello. I recently saw you in a reboot of Superfly, and there's a very great movie actually. That's really great.
It's very different than Once Upon a Time.
Yes. Yeah. And which is the scene you consider? Which is your best scene, your favorite scene in that movie?
Oh, that movie was tough for me. I mean, I was very excited to be a part of it. And I really enjoyed working with that whole cast, and I really enjoyed working with Director X. And it was just, you know, as you know from having seen the movie, I play a really bad person. And, you know, people say to me, well, was it fun to play the bad guy? I'm like, it's not that kind of bad guy we're talking about here. We're not talking about, like, playing Maleficent or something. You're talking about, like, a bad person. And I felt very resistant to, like, figuring that out and going there and diving in. And I felt like I kind of had to like find her voice and her walk, and I had to sort of superficially find her first because I just felt such to giving myself over to it. And I don't know, like I've only seen the movie once. I'm a little too close to it to have like watched it more. But what I can tell you is one of the hardest scenes I've ever had to shoot ever in my life is the scene in the sort of like under the underpass when my partner pulls up with Fat Freddy and his girlfriend, and it was like 5 in the morning, it was windy, it was raining, it was cold, I had 16,000 props. I had never in my life snorted anything, and I'm like snorting fake cocaine, like and a switchblade, 2 guns, 2 phones, you know, I mean it was like there was just technically a lot going on, and then also I never stopped talking. Like, it was just one of those things where I was like, please get me through this. And And I was playing a character I was very intimidated by that I had never played before. So the fact that I didn't totally fail at that, it feels like a win to me. But beyond that, I don't really have perspective on it yet. But thanks for seeing the movie. I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah.
It was, I think, I feel really, like I said, I feel lucky to have been a part of it. Even though I was a really bad person in it.
Thank you very much.
Hi. If you had to play any Once Upon a Time characters other than Emma, who would it be and why?
Oh man, I get asked this, and I never have a good answer because I just love Emma so much. I don't really know. I feel like weirdly I was like fated to play that character. Like I said earlier, I grew up with so much Disney, and we used to go to Disney World 2 or 3 times a year. My parents would like save up and be super careful about money so that they could like take us to Disney World. And so Disney was not only the movies I was watching, but it was like the vacations that I was having. And I think because I was around that world so much, nothing would have been cooler to me as a kid than to be a new Disney character. So I think it was fate. And I'm not answering your question because I don't have a good answer, except that I just loved Emma so much that I really just only wanted to be her.
Thank you so much.
Hi. First, there's someone who asked me to show you this
piece of paper.
drawing.
My eyes are not that good, I'm so sorry. I have no idea what that is but a piece of paper.
It's a drawing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
It says, let women rule.
Let who?
Rule. Sorry, I have a bad accent. I'm French.
En français. C'est pas écrit en français.
Laisser les femmes
Oh, let women rule. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Sweet.
So first thing I wanted to say, I want to thank you to play Emma Swan because she's, as you can see, my favorite character of the show. And actually she's one of my favorite characters of all time, I think.
Thank you, that's so awesome.
And well, I wanted to ask you some tips because next year I will move to Vancouver to start a career in actress, but she took my question. So I have a quick question for you. We saw a lot of character on Once Upon a Time from the Disney universe, but there's a lot we didn't saw. Which one would you have loved to see?
I mean, honestly, I can't think of any of the ones that we missed. I feel like we did a lot of them. What are we missing? I mean, I felt like my favorites kind of all got checked off. Oh, Pocahontas would have been a good one. I feel like that would have been an interesting problem. Jack Sparrow and Captain Hook in the same show. I would have liked, someone just said Princess Leia, it would have been fun to have Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I think Disney acquired Star Wars a little too late in our run for us to pull that off. I was amazed that we got Frozen. That was like such a huge,
that was exciting.
That was a huge deal.
That's how I got my kids into it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Elsa?
Yeah. That blue dress, man, it's like powerful.
We have time for just the one more question, but you're still doing signings, right?
I am still doing sign. I have one more signing after this, I think.
So yeah, if you don't go do that.
Yeah, come get stuff signed.
All right, so that's it. This is our last question. No pressure, bro.
Not so, it's all good. I like doing Warrior and Grind.
Thank you.
And the question is more on the movie Grind. Did you do any of your stunts when you were skating on the film? Like when you?
Yeah, I sort of learned how to skate. I used to do this thing all the time that I've learned not to do now, which is I go to audition and they're like, "Can you skateboard?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." And I always be like, "Sure." And they're like, "Can you surf?" Like, "Yeah, no problem." Like, I would always say I could do things I couldn't do, and then I'd have to learn how to do them. I had a real big extreme sports year that year. I learned how to skateboard, surf, and snowboard, all for projects. Oh, and dirt bikes. That was four major, like, sort of, you know, extreme sports in 1 year for projects. But
the easiest ones too, yeah.
Wait, what?
The easiest ones.
Yeah,
too,
totally. I know. I remember getting on the dirt bike and being like, "What have I said yes to?" I have no idea what I'm doing. But the good thing about that is that they hire experts to teach you how to do things, and you learn how to do it quickly. So I had all sorts of people, you know, pro skateboarders or whatever, teaching me how to skate. I didn't do any of the fancy stuff, but you know, I learned how to drop in on ramps, and I could sort of normally skate, and I don't know, I couldn't do anything fancy, but enough for them to be able to overlap it and actually like connect my face to the skating that I was doing. That is not a sport that I continued with after that movie. It just wasn't for me. But it was fun to like learn how to do it a little bit, and in a way where people were actually showing me how to do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jennifer Morrison!
Thank you for watching the Convention Junkies coverage of the 2018 Montreal Comic-Con. Please like, comment and subscribe to see more, and let us know below what you think of this video. If you would like to help us with future projects, please visit our Patreon page.